It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. In the name of God. Now I know what it feels like to be God.
Hello, friends and fiends. Welcome back to another Blood and Guts Creature Feature. With me, as always, is this fiend over here, Mad Matt. How's it going, Matt?
Well, as Lon Chaney's lover, I'm doing fantastic, Evil Adam. How about yourself?
That's not too bad. So we're talking tonight about The Wolfman, 1941 classic,
Yeah.
Universal picture. One of my favorites.
My absolute favorite.
This is your number one, I believe,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, like
That's,
1941, The Wolfman. Like I'm kind of like your brother Josh. I'm really into the lycanthropes, the werewolves, the wolves, whatever you want to call them, but not swearwolves, werewolves.
Werewolves, that's right. And speaking of favorites, you know, your favorite is Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is Invisible Man. We
Right.
have a crossover here with
Yes,
the
we do.
legendary Claude
Claude
Rains. That's right. And who else we got in this one?
We got the legendary. We already mentioned Lon Chaney Jr.
That's
as
right.
Lawrence Talbot, and then for your Trading Places fans, we got Ralph Bellamy as the Captain Paul Montford,
Yep.
and then Dracula himself makes an appearance, Bela Lugosi,
Bela Lugosi.
and then I know I'm gonna butcher this last name, but we got Maria Alspensica as Maleva, the Romani sorceress. So
Yep.
I know the first time we discussed the Wolfman back when we were kind of debating like our favorite Universal movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I've blanked on her name. Like her character is very important.
Yeah, Romany Gypsy.
Yep. And then last but not least, we got the Evelyn Anchors as the Gwen, as the main character Gwen. That's the love interest for Lon Chaney.
Yep. And it's you know, it's a classic. It's one of those films that, you know, even if you haven't seen it in a long time, bits and pieces, you know,
Yes.
you can mention Wolfman and bits and pieces, different scenes, different settings will pop into your mind, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And when you think about like you got different eras of horror, but when you think about like the golden age of horror, Mount Rushmore, you got Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. Most people put the Mummy on there too, but like you know, interchange. Like you may have the Phantom, like
Creature,
whatever your taste is.
yeah.
The Creature, yeah, Invisible Man, even though you wouldn't see him on the Rushmore, but yeah.
Sure.
But like I said, it's what's awesome about intriguing about this movie too is like whenever you do a little bit of digging, I searched Box Office Mojo, the numbers.com, and just Googled like the box office this movie made. Like it has its
Yeah.
budget that was made in 1941 for $180,000, which is a pretty good penny for back in the day.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
as far as box office numbers goes, it just mentions how it was a huge hit for Universal that year, but does not actually give any solid numbers for what it actually did make. But obviously, like I said, we know it turned a profit because they kept churning out the sequels, and they wouldn't have done
yeah.
that if there wasn't demand.
And I love, speaking of sequels, just briefly, I love it with the was it Abbott and Costello
Yeah.
in there. He's just great in that, and it's a tortured character. All he wanted to do was die.
Yep.
And they just kept dragging him on and on and on. But yeah, and just such iconic scenes. I remember, and I will say this: one of my favorite scenes is in that set that they built. That's the forest,
Yeah.
you know, and you have that low ground fog, and those trees, the stalking through the forest, all that stuff. When you say Wolfman, that's what comes into my mind.
Yep.
So-
You're absolutely right. That's exactly why I love it. That's why this one ranks up there as one of my favorites because it just sets the mood. Like you're talking about with that scenery, you got that rolling fog in there. You got him like just stalking in the woods, stalking his prey, and it wouldn't work if it wasn't for the legendary makeup of Jack Pierce.
Oh yeah,
We
Pierce
mentioned his
comes
name.
through.
No.
Pierce comes through once again.
And what kind of hair did they use? I know we mentioned earlier.
Yak
hair.
Yeah, yak.
Yak hair, exactly. And they said he used a rubber nose on there. And for this first movie, it took 5 to 6 hours to apply the makeup to Lon Chaney, and then took about an hour to 2 hours to remove it. So you think about that. That's 7 hours in itself without shooting. So
Yeah.
it doesn't mention how long he. I'm sure if I researched a little harder, I could have found, but I don't know exactly how long he would shoot for the day. But you're already talking about 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours a day, putting the makeup on, taking it off. So you're limiting what you can do, or you're
But
working
then,
long hours.
then you're talking too about some of those transformation scenes,
Yep.
which means that
Yeah.
back in the day, if you're shooting a transformation scene, it had to be done in house. There was no CGI. There was no
Right.
fancy bullshit.
All in camera.
It was all in camera. So if I'm shooting Lon Chaney Jr.'s hand, and it's getting the hair, it's growing, it's turning into the wolf hand, that's all in camera. That's makeup. It's almost like stop frame animation, if you will. And that itself had to be a bit of a bitch, to sit there for that to go on and
Apply a little bit of makeup, film it,
film
apply
it,
a little
stop it,
more.
go on and
And
so
like
that's-
this one, you can tell this is the first time they'd actually done it, because by the time we got to Abbott and Costello, they had perfected it, and it was a whole lot more smoother.
yeah, it's
then-
smooth transition of the
Right.
makeup effect. Yep.
So, like, let's say the fantastic makeup on here. And one little tidbit I did find out was Pierce actually wanted to use this design on the Werewolf of London, but the producers of that movie, I can't remember who the star of Werewolf of London is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I
They,
can't.
they're like, we paid so much money for this star, we want to see his face. So that's why you have just like the sideburns and like the Widow's Peak.
Yep, the Widow's Peak. Yep.
And but Jack Pierce is like, well, I got another opportunity to make the Wolfman. I'm gonna go back to that original design. And in watching both movies, this one by far is leaps and bounds better. It's iconic. Like I said, they should have went with his vision the first time. Which if they had, we wouldn't have this classic. I mean, it may still end up being a classic, but everything just perfectly works.
Right. Yeah, and it's just a classic universal piece.
Yep. And
I mean,
one good bit of trivia too, when thinking about this movie, is they introduced a lot of the lore that we know of in today, like like the moon, like silver being what it takes to kill a werewolf. Now it actually does mention silver bullets, but silver bullets are not used in this film at all. It's that silver top cane
right.
that he kills the first wolf with, and then ends up himself being killed with that cane as well.
Yep. And the pentagram and all that kind of. It's a little bit of gypsy, a little bit of Romany gypsy
Right.
lore in there as well. Which you got that little gypsy camp.
Right.
And just what an iconic film this is.
And you just think about that scene before, like, where they're reading the palms, like you said, and they see the pentagram. They know that's going to be the next victim, and you see Bela Lugosi is like, you need to go.
Yep.
You need to get out of here. And then they end up killing, like, you got Gwen and Lawrence there. I think her name is Jeannie. I can't, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think her name was Jeannie, gets killed off camera. And of course, then that's when everybody starts thinking, well, Lawrence Talbot was the last one to see her. He's the one who had to kill her, because whenever they find Bela Lugosi's body, he's already transformed back into a man.
Yep.
So they think he's crazy, of course. But it's just a fantastic film. It's a great. I always like to talk about this with kids or people, like, it's a great gateway horror film for kids, because it's like, nothing's really actually going to scare them.
Right.
And it's just a good way to sit there. Especially with my kids, one thing I love to do when I watch horror movies with them is actually watch the behind the scenes and explain this is how they make that movie magic. And
Right.
if we, of course, we have our Universal fans, it harkens me back to the Universal makeup show that we.
Oh yeah, I love that show, and it also goes back to our HHN fiends as well, with give us another Wolfman. But I wasn't particularly pleased with the Egypt setting.
Yeah.
Of the house from 2 years ago, obviously.
Preach.
But give us that forest and that fog and that moon with the Wolfman comes down on the bungee, lunges at you, and then back up into the tree line again.
Right.
And that will have you, needing to change your pants after that. That's over, because that's a good scare.
Yeah. I mean, we may be wrong. They may be trying to throw us a curveball on this one, but I'm like, I don't think we'll see it this year. I think we'll probably get in the creature.
Yeah, hopefully we get more of the creature, but if they go with a Wolfman, cool. I'm thinking it'll probably be later on, but that's still cool too, because I mean, although he was vicious in the Legends Collide, I believe that's what it was called. Yeah, the Legends Collide house. He was vicious and looked pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
but just kind of out of place in those catacombs or the tombs and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm
so.
like you. I like the gothic settings. That's why I like this past year, like the Paris, and you think 2 years before that when we had the Bride of Frankenstein, where we're going through
Yes.
the castle, it was beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. Now we kind of got sidetracked.
Yeah, we did. Now we're back at horror
Yeah.
nights. So.
Yeah. But yeah, back to the Wolfman. Then, just Claude Rains does a great job. Like we mentioned him briefly, but does a great job
Yeah.
of his dad, because it's
Talbot
almost
Senior.
like the prodigal son returning, because he comes back to help bury his brother, and he's wanting to mend fences with his daddy. So you got
Yep.
that. Something that everybody can relate to. You may have struggles with your family, and you try to mend those fences. So that's something that's easily relatable as well.
Yep. And you have the great scene with the dog, the wolf,
Yeah.
which is really Lon Chaney Jr.'s dog.
Yeah,
but
that's a
it's
good little
German
tribute,
Shepherd.
yeah.
But have that good iconic scene. So many good scenes in this
Mm-hmm.
piece that it's it definitely holds, like you said, the Mount Rushmore of
Right.
Universal Monsters classic. And yeah, what else you think about this one? Like what
one
heavy
bit
notes
trivia,
you have?
Yeah, one bit of trivia I found too is the writer Kurt Siodmak. I know I'm mispronouncing that one right, but when he actually wrote this movie, he never wanted to see the wolf. It actually has everything happens
Right,
off
yeah,
screen,
yeah,
because
I
he wanted to leave
remember
it to
that.
your imagination.
Yeah.
But for once, normally I don't like producers meddling into movies and things of that nature. But the producers is like, no, we think we can add more appeal to the audiences by actually seeing it on screen. I think obviously that's worth its weight in gold, because just seeing that design that Jack Pierce, we already talked about, come up with.
Yeah, because even for that time, if you don't see the wolf and you have to wonder, is Talbot just crazy?
Right.
That leaves a lot to the imagination.
Right. And so, like I said, I think it's great that they had that in there. And this is a movie in itself, and I know we'll cover it one day down the road, kind of like we mentioned earlier ones that had a remake. And it was a bit of a divisive remake, but it's one I actually enjoy. But it has hits and misses. And
Yeah,
we
it
talked
does
about.
hit and miss. With you talk about Del Toro
Yep.
and Hugo Weaving
Yep.
and several Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Yep.
I can't remember exactly. Several others in there.
There's actually a new one scheduled to come out this year, which is supposed to be set in the modern time. So I'll be interested to see, how that comes about. But
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna dig that.
I'll at least wait to see the trailer to come.
Yeah, let's see the trailer.
Because I can't remember. I didn't see who was actually attached to it, so I really don't know if it's a heavy hitter where I'm like, well, I'll definitely give this one a chance or not.
Right.
But just a few more things. Like we briefly mentioned Bela Lugosi, but he does an outstanding job as Bela in this movie. In the short time that he is in the movie, I think he does a great job of leaving a good impact on you.
He does, and he originally wanted to play Talbot.
Yep.
And they were like, yeah, no, we're good with that, thank you.
I find it honestly, I find it fascinating that when you watch the movie Ed Wood and you kind of you see Martin Landau play Bela Lugosi and kind of see the shape he was in towards the end of his life, and it just amazes me because they kind of wrote him off in the early mid 40s, like after he come back as Igor, play a few more. Universal kind of cut ties with him, but he just has so many iconic roles within these series and stuff, and just you wish they would give him the respect he deserved at the time, because I know when he played Dracula, they didn't even offer him a fraction of what they were going to offer somebody else.
Yeah, and he did get the short role, but it is a good role that he makes it his own. It makes it pretty damn awesome. So,
and then honestly, lastly but not least, we need to talk a little bit about Lon Chaney Jr. because he followed in the footsteps of the legendary actor Lon Chaney, and that's a pretty big mantle to try to pick up. And then he really carved his niche, especially with this movie. He ended up being typecast, but I mean, he was a fantastic actor in his own right. Like I know off the top of my head, he played in Of Mice and Men, and that's the one that kind of really put him on the map anyway as a good dramatic actor.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, then he done this movie, hugely popular, kind of typecast him in the role to where he kind of did a lot of horror throughout the remainder of his life. But, I mean, rightfully so. He was fantastic in these roles. Like I say, he returned as the Wolfman 4 other times, and honestly, every Universal movie with him as the Wolfman, I love, absolutely love.
I was reading something about the behind the scenes squabbles that he would get into with the other actors and actresses in this film and others. And if you really want a good laugh, I can't remember the story well enough to convey it to you, fans. But it's such a crazy story when you read it, like the things that he would do behind the scenes to the other actors and actresses if he felt like he was wronged. Like the little like behind the scenes drama would have been just crazy to think of today, but go give that a Google search or a IMDb search and read some of that for a good laugh.
Well, I know one of them was like Evelyn Ankers that played in this movie.
Yep.
They did not get along.
Shankers.
Called her Shankers, exactly. And
Shankers.
said she couldn't stand it. So
Yep.
he every chance he could take a dig at her and call her Shankers, he would do it.
And
so.
to scare her with the makeup on
Yep.
and to do little petty things. So there was a whole squabble going on behind the scenes at the craft services table, I guess. But it was, go give that a Google if you want a good chuckle.
But yeah. One question I got for you, Adam, like I know Invisible Man is your favorite, but like thinking about the Wolfman, and you can pull in any Wolfman film you like though, but like like if you had to tell the audience, like if you ain't got time to watch one full movie, what scene must they watch to really get a good flavor of this character?
That would probably be the transformation scene from this film, just because, I love it because as a scientist and as a effects makeup artist and all that, for them to go, okay, we don't know if this is going to work on camera. We got a theory that it might work. Let's test it.
Right.
Well, okay, well, you realize that's going to cost a lot of money for you to test this theory of transformation on camera.
Right.
Okay, we're going to do it. That scene is that, like you said, it led to the other transformations becoming better,
Right.
better honed. So this is I would say that scene in this film is
I agree with you wholeheartedly, just
the one.
because not only do you get that scene with the transformation that leads into him, like where we discussed earlier, him in the woods in his like a habitat, as you would say, like just stalking his prey. You see him just like hiding behind the trees in the
that
shadows.
scene when he almost falls into the tree, and then you see his hands, and then you see him kind of lurching around the tree. That is classic. That's what I think when you say Wolfman. That's what I picture in my mind. That scene with the and I know they're doing to digress a little bit, just a little bit. I know they're doing the ride at the new Epic Universe, the Wolf.
Oh, I can't wait.
Called Curse of the Werewolf or Wolfman or something along those lines. Curious to see what they're going to do with this because supposedly there's supposed to be some life-size animatronics in this ride.
What I'm hoping for is like some meet and greet opportunities like they have out in Hollywood now, where the monsters are coming out that way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Have them out there in Epic, which I think
would
they
be great.
will. There you have it, Fright fans. Like I said, this is a movie that's near and dear to my heart. Absolutely love The Wolfman. Try to watch it at least like every Halloween season. Like I said, just it's one of those like you really want to like. Is it going to scare your socks off? No,
it's
not in this day and age. But like if you want to watch some good early Universal Golden Age horror movies, get you some popcorn on, like turn all the lights out and just watch that fog roll in on those sets. It's just beautiful.
And to watch it knowing that they're testing theories and they're figuring out this is going to work for the future, this is not going to work, and to watch them pull it off in a time where this is just a theory. Can we transform the hands? Can we transform this scene? And then they pull it off, with Jack Pierce, with the cinematography, with everything else, the lighting. Yeah, we can pull it off, which led to better stuff down the road. Of course, it's
and not only, I mean, this ain't the only film Jack Pierce obviously worked on, but you think about Jack Pierce and
Jack
how
Pierce
iconic he is, and what all it led to. It led to your Rick Bakers, it led to your Rob Bottin's, and Tom Savini's, all those good people that, like you said, that went out and tested things and try to push the envelope with special effects. And for that I have to salute the famous Jack Pierce.
That's right.
So, like I said, there it is, Fight fans, fiends, and friends. We got the Wolfman here. Is this one of your favorite Universal movies? If it is, let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, share this video with your friends, and share the channel with your friends.
That's right. And as always, don't forget about Blood and guts.